Tired of serving up the same old basic griddles to your family? Step up your grill game with new seasonings from Cloy's Southern Eats. Based off famous Southern recipes, our seasonings will add what's been missing to your family's feast. Add it to steak, chicken, shrimp, you name it. Serving up these fixings is going to make you the hero at home. So head on over to CloysSouthernEats.com and order yours today. Come get you some.
Welcome back, everybody. It's been a little bit of craziness today, but we're kind of working out the kinks. I got Drake Pretty here, also Hogville.net. He runs our YouTube social platform. And so Razorbacks had a pretty strong showing today. Again, final score was 56-10. Arkansas had 4 interceptions. One was returned by a touchdown by Brad Spence for 85 yards to cap the scoring. From the offensive perspective, what did you see today?
Well, I would say it definitely what you'd want to expect from your first game out. Going into your first game on the season, you really don't necessarily what you totally have yet. You know, these fall camps, you're really just playing the same guys over and over. But I think today actually went really well. Of course, there's a few things that need to get fixed and ironed out. But, you know, I think, you know, there's good potential there. And, you know, I think we're going to have a good offensive team.
I think one of the things that Sam Pittman and that offense, Danny Enos, kind of didn't expect was the stoutness of the Western Carolina run defense. That first half, Arkansas had, if I'm not mistaken, 28 yards of offensive rushing. KJ he was 14 of 16 in the first half, had 214 yards, and had a score. But you know, the rushing offense was one of the things that they wanted to establish at the first of the game. What was some of the things that you were noticing that didn't allow them to do that today?
Well, it kind of looked like first off, I'm going to say the pass blocking looked really good, I thought, but the rush blocking, I would say it didn't look like they were just getting enough push. It just seems, you know, if Rocket can get a crease, he's going to take that crease and be able to you know, run it, 50 yards or whatever. It just didn't seem like they could really get those holes made for him, essentially.
One of the things that I kind of touched on too is pad level. Yeah, I noticed that whenever Arkansas was coming out of their stance, it wasn't one of those where they were more driving forward. It was they were kind of lifting straight up and then going forward, and that's where the Western Carolina defense, the Catamounts, were able to make some headway there. Also, a quick comment there by Tex Hog. Sure hope our O-line looks a little better, a little sharper by SEC player. It's going to be another lackluster year. That's one of the things that I think Sam Pittman has really emphasized to the coaching staff is that, hey, First 4 games of the season, we usually do fairly well. October, downtrod, and then back up again in November. We'll have to see how that plays out. Like you said, though, they got 3 games to get this thing sorted out before they take on LSU in week 4. So let's look at the defense. Let's go back to the offense just for a few more moments here. So what did you notice from the passing game today?
Well, I would say on KJ Jefferson's first 7 targets, he hit 7 different receivers. You have running backs mixed in there. I really liked Andrew Armstrong out there, Isaac Tesla. I think there's a lot of speculation about those guys coming into the season not being able to adjust to the SEC. I think so far they look like they, kind of already maybe made a name for themselves. Both of these guys. I mean, Andrew Armstrong with 5 receptions, 78 yards. Isaac Tesla, 3 receptions, 66 yards. You got Jaden Wilson, a younger guy coming in, 3 receptions, 83 yards, and all 3 of those guys had touchdowns.
One of the things that I also noticed that in years past, you've had a lot of drops. Yeah. The wide receiving core today had 1 drop. I'm going to ask y'all out there in Hogville Nation too. When was the last time you can remember where an offensive wide receiver core for the Razorbacks had 1 drop for an entire game? I can't. I'm 40 years old, and I've watched the Razorbacks for a long time. It's been a long time since I can remember where it had just 1 drop the entire game. KJ, on the day, he was 18 of 20 through 245 yards, 3 touchdowns. His completion percentage was 78%. Quarterback rating was 211.1. And that is an extremely solid day. Now, it doesn't have to – the offense didn't have to be to a point where they had to score 60 points to pull a win out. They were actually able to kind of comfortably in the second half, for instance, they were able to kind of maneuver through that 3rd and 4th quarter and not have to play a shootout game.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was saying. It's kind of what you would want to expect for your first game. Your first game, you want to score. Of course, the fans want to see you score a lot of points, and they want to see your stars out there really shine. And I think Arkansas, like I said earlier, did a good job of that today. They just need to iron a few things out. I thought it was a ton of fun watching them today. Even seeing some of the younger guys get out there, I think that's great.
And so, let's talk about the defense just for a few moments. So, one of the things that I did notice too is that the Razorbacks had 4 interceptions today. They were returned 1 for a touchdown, and it was. At first, I felt like the defense was more of a bend and don't break type of defense. The front 7 was getting a pretty good push up front. I know that there's a noticeable difference now where you don't have that 3-man front. You've got a 4-man front, which really helps the defensive backs on the back end. You've got 4 of the 5 starters in the backfield are transfers. Hudson Clark was the only off Razorback that was brought in. That started, and so one of the things that I felt like was really nice is that you were able to have some guys that were put on an island. They were tested. Now, Jalen Braxton, he didn't have the best day. He got away with one there in the 3rd quarter. I think that kind of ended the Jalen Braxton experiment for the day today, and where he passed interfered the guy held him. It was an offsetting penalty, but then after that, they brought Jameer Singleton back in, and that was pretty much it. And so, as you can see, we got a taste of Little Rock that's here today. So,
not as loud as you see.
But we're going to take a quick break here for just a couple of moments and let some of these folks pass by us here real quick. right, everybody, welcome back. We kind of got a little bit of the sound issue worked out now that they've passed by now. So, looking at the defense today, defensive leaders that had, let's see, Jameer Thomas, he had 4 solo tackles. Also, Jameer Singleton and Jaden Johnson. Jaden Johnson also had an interception. I'm trying to see. We had 2 sacks on the day. One was by Kiwi Rose. That was a real nice one in the third quarter. And also Torian Carter had another sack. That was one of the big focal points from last year where Arkansas was able to capitalize, even with that 3-man front, that they were able to grab sacks in large chunks. Maybe not this week they did. I think you're going to see a lot of difference and improvement on the defensive front 6 with working out some of the scheme kinks. I think that Travis Williams and Darren Woodson are going back to the drawing board, and they're going to find out exactly what works best for these guys and put them in a little bit better spot scheme wise. I did like the fact that they were extremely aggressive on defense from the jump. They really solidified what we thought they might be seeing in front, because the first 3 series, it was a 3 and outs. There was one play where they got a big chunk play in the passing game that helped set up their first score. But really after that, they were honestly, and then also the field goal that was set up by a chunk play. But after that, you really didn't see them march the ball down on that defense, maybe a couple times, but the defense
held their own.
Yeah, they did. They held their own, and I really like the fact that they were not playing the bend don't break defense, where they had their guys playing 5 to 8 yards off the ball or off their man, but they were also letting their guy come to them. They weren't backing up with the receivers, so that was a nice thing that I feel like is going to help them as the season progresses, where teams take notice that, hey, these guys are not going to back off of us. We're going to have to make some plays, and they're going to be playing more of a press coverage out of that cushion.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like you've already hit on, I really like the aggressiveness they show, especially playing in the forefront. And playing in the forefront, you have to have good backers and a good secondary. And I think we do. I think we have a lot of guys who, come in and rotate and, relieve some guys as well. Yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch today. I love seeing our defense get 4 interceptions, 1 for a pick 6. I think this defense is going to be really exciting, and it's probably, to me, could be potentially one of the best defenses we've seen in the last few years. One of my favorite things about this defense is the man, going down in man coverage. I really like to see, corners go down, get in the receiver's face, and say, hey, you want me out of your grill, you got to get me out of your grill. I really like that, and I think how aggressive we've been playing will prove how good, Travis Williams and Coach Woodson's, schemes are going into the rest of the season and the SEC play.
Here's a quick hot take for you. I don't think that we've seen all the aggressiveness that Coach T. Will and Coach Woodson want to see from the players on the field. This was a great starting point for them in game 1, but I don't think that we've seen what they want actually from these guys. They're kind of bringing them along. They wanted to see what game 1 was going to be like, and then, like I said, we were going to progress. But I think that we're going to see an even more aggressive tack next week. I think it's going to be more aggressive whenever we go to BYU or when BYU comes here. And then I think it's going to be an onslaught. They're going to try to make it an onslaught whenever we go down to LSU, when they go down to LSU. So that's where I think that's one of the hot takes I want to make, is that I think that their aggressiveness we haven't seen. The fans have not seen exactly what they can provide to us yet.
I would agree with that.
So another take that I do want to make is one of the big question marks coming into the season, like you had talked about, was the wide receiver group. Yeah. I think that this is just my take, and y'all make your own assumptions, but the question mark has been taken off. I think that the question mark has been ripped off. I think the coaching staff was extremely pleased by what they saw. We'll find out more whenever Otis goes down for the post game. That'll be hashed out a little bit. Once post game's over, we'll we'll have stories on hogville.net for you as well. Drake will be writing about the offense. I'll be writing more about the defense. And then Otis will have coverage of Coach Goodman and his press conference. Dudley will have coverage of the Catamounts coach and his press game and post-game press conference as well. So we're going to take a quick break here for just a couple of moments, and you are watching the hogville.net Razorback post-game show presented by Coy Southern Eats on hogville.net YouTube Live. And everybody, welcome back to the final portion of the hogville.net YouTube Live Razorback post-game show presented by Coy Southern Eats. So we look ahead to next week. We got Kent State coming to Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium, and we got a MAC team coming in, and everybody loves MACtion on a Tuesday or a Wednesday night. Won't see that until October. But they come into Fayetteville here, second week of the season. And what do you see? What do you want to see on the offense progress going from week 1 to week 2?
Well, I think the obvious is definitely the run game, of course. Something that Arkansas's dominated the last couple of years. Our run game. It was kind of weird today. See those guys. Not produce the numbers we're used to seeing, like Rocket Sanders, 15 attempts, only had 42 yards, but he also had 2 touchdowns. So I think next week, I think what a lot of people would like to see is, a good push-up front, and see us work on a little bit of our run game a little bit more. But honestly, I think that's still going to be part of our bread and butter. Once they get the things ironed out and situated, I think the run game is just going to be our bread and butter like usual.
I'm going to go out on a limb, too, for next week. I think we saw some flashes from Isaiah Satania in the return game, albeit from kickoff or punts. Kickoff, there was a long run that was negated by a block in the back by Cam Ball. But that's one of the things that you have happen that you take the risk of whenever you bring it out of the end zone 5 yards deep. That was a 60-yard return that he had, and I think I made this prediction on the way down when we were driving from Fayetteville this morning that I see a lot of Joe Adams and Isaiah Satania, and I get excited whenever he fields the ball. He gets the ball in his hands. He's extremely fast and electric, and I can't wait to see what he's able to do against Kent State. So that's one of the takes that I've got for next week. And on the defense, I want to see more stunts and more twists up front that are effective. I saw where they had Deke Adams and Coach T. Will and Coach Woodson had a couple of instances where they had 4 defensive ends down in a 3rd and long situation. That's kind of their speed blitz that they've talked about in the offseason, where you get a 3rd and long and you bring in those 4 fast guys. And he did that a few different times. I want to see that coming into next week. See if they are able to be a little bit more productive, get a little bit more push on the inside. The edges are not the problem because they have got speed around on those edges that they're able to make gains and funnel the quarterback back into that center guard area where our defensive linemen are able to make some pretty good plays. But I can't say enough about the defensive secondary. 4 interceptions is a great start. Our linebackers at the second level were solid. I noticed that they were switching in and out with 3 to 4 different linebackers in different combinations. One was to see exactly where they kind of fit into the scheme. they'll get that ironed out for next week. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing a little bit more blitzing from the linebacker level, and I can't wait to see that. So next week, you got a score prediction?
Well, I do.
Okay.
I do. I think it's going to be something close to kind of like what we saw today. I'm going to say 48-10. Let's say 48-10. Something not too crazy, something pretty manageable, I think.
I think the defense is going to make some major gains on the front six. And I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say this is my score prediction. I think it's going to be 63-3. I think that the offense still has the firepower to be able to put those kinds of numbers up, even with not a great day from Rocket Sanders, a great day, an above-average day for KJ Jefferson, and still putting 56 points on the board. I think that the defense can make some opportunities for the offense to have some easy scores. So I really feel like a 63-3 number is a possibility. So we'll have to see. So everybody, I want to thank Clay Cappy again for jumping on with us today. I want to thank Boys Southern Eats for sponsoring the Razorback postgame show on Hogsville.net YouTube Live. Y'all take care, and we'll see you tomorrow. I've got Otis Kirk will be on at 3 o'clock tomorrow, and then Dudley Dawson at 4:15. Again, for Greg Pretty and myself, Jason Pattyson.